And that is, who is Andee Scarantino, and what's your backstory?
Wow. I was thinking about what people might ask me. I didn't expect that, Dennis.
Exactly.
I didn't expect it. That's a, that's an interesting question. Well, I'm a woman. I live on East 7th Street in New York City. I am 39 years old. Yeah, that's it. I was asked that question once, like, what is your probable uniqueness? And I was asked this in a coaching group. And I said, well, my name is Andee and I live on East 7th Street in New York City. And I don't think anyone else in this room lives on East 7th Street in New York City. And the person that was talking to me at the time, I have medals hanging behind me because I run marathons. And she said, well, can I talk about that? Like, can I tell people? Because we were going to go back and share with the crowd. And I said, well, yeah, you can. But, I think I've spent a lot of my life collecting identities, and then I've spent the last 5 years dropping them. So the question for me doesn't really resonate. But I can speak to specifics if anybody has one. So I think I'm complete in answering that question. And now I'd like to hear another one.
What?
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay. Well, you did a good job of dodging the backstory, but we're going to let you off the hook there. What's one thing that even your closest friends might be surprised to learn about you?
Wow, probably. I don't think that I have any secrets from my closest friends. So I'm not sure what they would be surprised by.
I mean, suppose in a past life you were a belly dancer.
Well, if I was a belly dancer in a past life, I personally would be surprised to know that I was not an apple and that I was a pear because I am certainly an apple. And so maybe that could be that my friends would be surprised to know that I'm an apple because I dress in a way that does not highlight that part of my body.
Good answer. Tell us about your family.
My family is brilliant. They are brilliant people. My mother is a brilliant woman. My brothers are brilliant men. My father was a he was brilliant too in different ways. They were all very smart. I never remembered a time not thinking that my family was just I'm never bored around those people. There is always something that they're saying or doing or sharing that is interesting to me. There's a lot of, I'm very into human design. So I have a defined head center, and so do my two brothers. So there's a lot of mental activity all the time with myself and my two brothers. My mother does not have that, but there's a lot of mental activity with her. And what's interesting in a theme of our family is that we are all very good listeners and we all tell and collect stories.
Hmm.
So my mother and my two brothers and myself particularly, because my dad passed away, we have a an ability to within a very short period of time collect stories. People will come and just give us the story. So there's the story, here it is. And it will be we'll be together 10 minutes and I will hear about the whatever it is for you, So I think that that's why some of the questions for me, Dennis, are interesting because I spend a lot of time collecting stories,
Hmm.
and I often am absent of identity when I come into a situation with somebody. I'm like, it's usually their story, and I'm just kind of holding the space for the story.
Well, you are also a storyteller, as we all know. which
Yeah.
certainly makes sense. I've got one more question. I've got some hands up. I'm going to turn it over to the crowd. What's a normal day in your life look like?
So sorry, I was changing my view so that I could kind of try to look. I don't want my eyes to be going all over the place. I wake up, it depends on the day. So everything is kind of in flux. But I would say that during a weekday, I wake up at about 6, 5:30 or 6. I write for the first 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours usually. And I don't like to be talked to or touched during those hours. So I'm really happy that I never got married. I was in a couple of relationships, and it's annoying when someone tries to talk to me or touch me during those hours. And stop it. Um, and then when that's over, I go running and then I work. And I have no energy at around 3 p.m. So around 3 p.m., I usually go and sit at a coffee shop down the street and I look at the people. And then I become re-energized and then I come back and I work again and I go to bed early. Like I think I'm in a stage of my life called the roof phase. So I for those of you who are unfamiliar with human design, I know Tamsin is familiar with human design. I see her with the but for those of you who are not familiar with human design, I have a type that is broken up. My life is broken up into three parts, trying to keep the language simple. And the middle part is called the roof phase, like age 30 to 50. And it's a withdrawn. So I'm a 6'2", and the six line lives their life in three parts. So the first 30 years of my life was highly experimental. Like I was if that's a word. I experimented a lot. I was always awake until 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to do everything, taste everything, screw everything, just be everywhere, experience every culture, experience every human. I wanted to do everything. I was highly exciting and highly reactive and angry and upset and all the time and excited, euphoric. And then I hit 30 and I was over it. Like I was over it. It was like I've eaten everything, tasted everything, drank everything, done everything. And so now it's very withdrawn and it's very reflective. So there's a lot of time and a lot of space. And I still have a job on the weekends. I work 2 days a week. And on those days, I have to go and I have to be with people and engage with that. And I don't have to, I choose to. It pays very well. And those are not my favorite days. I prefer not to do that at all. I prefer to have the space and be in the reflections. So a typical ideal day is how I described it. A lot of and of course, when I meet with clients and I do a lot of connecting, so I have calls with people to connect, and there's a lot of depth in those conversations. So I prefer to connect deeply. I really don't, I'm really not interested in I'm not interested in the surface level stuff. I'll entertain it, but for about 10 minutes. And then let's get on with it,
Well,
So
great. Then
that's
good. I'm not going to ask you how the weather is then. Um,
yeah, it's
but
great.
uh, I am sure that Phil has a great question for you. Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Andy. I'm going to borrow a phrase from Perry Mason, and it is, since the prosecution introduced the subject, let's further explore it. You, the prosecutor, you said something in regards to identity and the ones that you have taken on. Tell us about the identities that you have dropped and why did you drop them?
That's a great question. That's such a good question. Wow. Okay. So the first one that comes to my mind is atheist. So like my parents don't have religion, and I don't want this to be triggering or anything like that, but because I still don't have religion, but I grew up with like a very we don't do God in this house. Now my mother is wonderful. Like she always encouraged us to go out and explore religion and faith and spirituality. She just did not have any. But I think that in my earliest years, I was a staunch atheist, meaning, fuck you, how dare you bring your God into my life? And I think it's because I was looking at the institutions. So I wasn't really looking at the principles of religion or the fact that every religion has love as a central concept. I was rather looking at the institutions and very put off by the institutions. Like I went to a Catholic funeral when I was 22 or 21, and um, the priest was telling us to repent because pointed at the coffin and said, "That's gonna be you." And I was like, "This is a woman who died. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?" So I was very anti-religion. But I have I don't want to use language that's going to be off-putting, but there's a feeling that I started to identify with, particularly in my early 30s, that I now call the God feeling. And it's nothing to do with religion. It was something else. And I realized that what my life was missing was a lot more magic. And I needed more magic and less logic. And I needed more faith and less proof. So when I embraced that and dropped that identity of atheist, my life tremendously improved because there was so much more possibility than what my limited mind could entertain. I was like, I need that out. So, yeah. And of course, a lot of the early experimenter identities, well, I was having a conversation with Bob yesterday, and I mentioned I used to drink Lagavulin. Like I was a drinker. I drank scotch with men in bars till 4 o'clock in the morning, and I hang out with men in bars. I'm a tough man who hangs out with men, and that had to go too. There was it that had to go. Like it had to go. It was so limiting. And then there were all these things I desired to be, and I couldn't be those because I was hanging on to this thing, this ego created thing. I loved it. Like it was great. I loved hanging out with men in bars. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it made me, but there was like, when people talk to me about cigarette smoking, I was a cigarette smoker. That was another identity that I had to let go of. It was so, there was so much that was enveloped in that and so much culture, and we're we're the outcasts. We stand outside of the buildings, and you don't want to be with us, and that's okay. And it was so, had to go. There's a million more, but those are the three
Wow.
big ones.
What I have to tell you is a quick side note. You have not been to a funeral until you have been to a Protestant funeral. My mother's funeral was an hour and a half long with three gospel choirs, and it was tremendous. It was a celebration. So
Oh, wow.
wait for the experience.
Wow. Do you
Thanks,
know,
Andy.
Bill, I have an answer for Dennis's earlier question now that you've provoked me. Something my friends was surprised to know about me is that I love gospel music.
Bingo.
There
Hmm.
you go. That's our connection.
Yeah, I love gospel music. Feel free to send.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank
Okay,
you, Bill.
over to EPEC.
Hi, Andy, and everyone. It's lovely to be here. I have two questions. The
Uh-oh.
first, I'm going to ask that. What would be three words you would choose to describe yourself?
Honest. There's one. Strong, earthy.
Honest,
Strong and
strong,
earthy.
and
Yeah.
earthy. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And the second question I have is, if we had a time machine and we would be able to go 5 years ahead, just like that, um, what would your dream life look like? Like, what is your intention to create within this coming 5 years for yourself?
This is Coach EPEC. I feel it. I feel it. I'm like, this is Coach Efek. She's here. Well, the computers have completely taken over, and so all of the systems are done. So we've gotten rid of the financial systems that oppress people, and we've gotten rid of, the patriarchal nature of our society. It's matriarchal, and everybody lives in a state of flow. And everybody allows for everyone to have everything, everything that they desire. And because there's no oppression, people generally desire with the best of intentions for the collective. Having that said, because the world looks like that, and 5 years from now, which will be 2029, so that's for, the year I've been paying attention to. I don't do a lot. I spend a lot of time looking at water, and I kind of live like I do now, except I don't work on the weekends. I kind of, and I probably have a best-selling book of some sort.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see Jen Lynn.
Andy. My question is also about identity. Is there a version of yourself or an identity that you've considered that feels intimidating or challenging to embrace? And if so, why? What about it felt the most unsettling to you?
Oh, that's a good question. So thank you for it. I don't want to go off on a side street, but I'm going to briefly, is that I had a mentor of mine ask me. I said, listen, I don't have not enough syndrome. That's not one of mine. And he said, do you have too much? And I said, no. I don't have too much syndrome, but I have received that feedback. And mostly from men, oddly. Like it's interesting. And so there is an intensity, and I don't know if it's identity, but it is like I do have some, and I try to work through it. I do have some wounded masculine, and I don't love it, but it's part of my curriculum to continue working through it. So can I have the question exactly again? Because I want to fit the answer in, or is it fitting in?
Yeah, it's fitting in. Is there a version of yourself or an identity you've considered that feels intimidating or challenging to embrace to you, not to others? And
Yeah,
if so, what about it feels most unsettling?
definitely the wounded masculine, because the wounded is the one that says, you don't earn enough money, you need to be a better provider. Like, and who am I providing for? It's me. Like, it's like there's no other being to provide for in this, but it believes that it's not, and I've gotten a lot better with this, but it believes that it should be producing, and it should be moving, and it should be stronger, and it should be able to lift more, and it should be like it has this belief, and I'm calling it because it's not me, it's it.
Right.
And there's I don't try to dwell too much at this point in my life about whys behind things, even though I'm aware of the whys. But I my it has been suggested to me by somebody I love deeply that the firstborn of a family tends to mimic the head of the household. Now, I know exceptions to this, and I have met a lot of people that are exceptions to this. I definitely am my father's daughter, like in a lot of ways. And trying not to go on another side street. And so when I was young, my father owned a business, and he was the man that was in charge of things. Like, and he was in charge of things. And so I I very much saw that as, well, that's what you should do. You should own a business and be in charge of things. So I think that in my earlier life, that got to be a little neurotic, like in terms of controlling. And I have Enneagram 8, like, which a lot of women apparently mistest as Enneagram 8s because, women are kind of socialized not to have 8 qualities, but I'm an 8. Like, and it's so I think that that's challenging for me to deal with, and letting go of a lot of control has been a theme of the last like half decade of my life, ever since I've had the spiritual awakening, which I love to put in air quotes because there's no better word for it. But just like, okay, like, where am I gripping onto things I don't have to be? So that's challenging. So thank you for the question.
And there's Victor.
Oh, hi, Victor. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to. I'm
Hi,
ready.
hi, Andy. Well, EPEC kind of asked the question that I wanted to ask, only I was projecting 10 years from now. So I came up with a different question,
Okay.
and that is, if you let go of all of your ego identities, what's left? Who's Andy?
Well, intellectually, I know the answer.
I want to hear it. I
You
know
know,
you know it. I
you
want
know I
I want to see if your answer includes the word love.
love. I know the answer is love. Oh, I love that question. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's places I still don't love. That's all of that other stuff, but I try to be as much love as I can be. So yeah, it's absolutely.
And that's what I love about you, among many things. But I will kind of piggyback a little bit into the other question I had, which was, what is your view of where you would like to see the world be in 10 years? And how do you see yourself in helping to make that happen? That's the part I really want to focus
Perfect.
on.
Question. I love that question. It's taken me some time to figure it out, but I think I highlighted a little bit of it in answering EPEC. And I don't foresee a world that's limited in any possibility at all. So like, everybody is just such infinite potential. And one of my mentors introduced me to the Hindu yugas and how we're kind of ascending into the energy age. And I would love to see us in that very expansive place. Unfortunately, and this is just where we are now, I believe, observe, that a lot of people do not know who they are outside of their careers, outside of their certifications, outside of their hobbies, outside of their likes and dislikes, outside of their family unit, outside of all those things. Like, and because there's no words. There's no words for that shit. Like, it's not. So they grasp to them. So when I was talking about identity, which is a big thing for me, like holding on to identity versus letting go of identity, there is this, well, I am, especially in America, I am my job. I am my occupation. I am my profession. This is who I am. And I'll never forget this. And I'm going to respect the anonymity of the person, but the person, once told me that it's somebody that I know through someone else, said, that when they left their career, they didn't, and then they got injured and couldn't run. They're like, well, I'm not that career profession anymore, and I'm not a runner anymore. So who am I? And I'm thinking, well, you're in your 70s, like, so there's nothing else. Like, and I'm sure that there are, right? Like mother or wife, oh, ex-wife. Ex-wife is very different than wife. They're different. I see Colin laughing. But it's what else? Like, so I foresee my role in helping people see more of that potential, creative potential, like ability to create from error. Which there are people in this room, and I'm looking at the faces. There are some faces in here that know how to do that, like, and have done that. I see, and like they can create from air. And there, I see Phil in his glasses. I wish that like gallery view was on the recording so y'all could see everybody's beautiful face. Um, create from air, like create from not what already exists. So I had a women's coaching community and I was like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to see? And I'm like, and omit what already is. Like, get rid of it. Like, okay, well, I'm already at the job at the say fire station. I work at the fire station. I'm at this job. So I have to create from that. It's like, well, you don't have to create from that. You can create from blank. Like you can you can be you can be the light. Like you have gifts. You were given those gifts. This is a Kabbalistic concept about gifts being on loan from the creator. And like if you use those, you're going to get all those other appendages that you want to have. Um, yeah, I think that's complete. And I'm sorry to all of you who wrote in the chat because I haven't been keeping an eye on it, but I saw Tamsin wrote something. So
Mhm. Now we've got Jeff.
I'm ready. Jeff, you're muted. Oh, no, you're not.
All right, here we go. Hey, friend.
Hey,
Okay, what is a controversial, against the grain opinion, belief, perspective that you have today that you feel will be mainstream by the time the Andee character exits stage left? And they will
oh
look back and
boy.
say, she was a visionary. She had it right all along.
I talked a little bit about it, right? Like I think, but I did. It's like, okay, like all of the things that we think are problems are not problems. Even the macro problems like war and poverty and racism and all of these things are created at the individual level. So each individual has to commit internally to being love. And then that tips the scale when the amount of people that commit to being love overthrow the amount of people that are living in anger. So I believe that that tipping point will happen in my lifetime. I think that that will happen. I'm not sure. I think that started with the pandemic pause. So I believe that everybody, what are all the other issues that we get upset? I mean, like just these horrible things that happen in the world, like just all of the systemic oppression, and it can be very bad. There's also an equal amount of stuff that can be very good. So there have been studies through the years about like the perception that people have in terms of, is the world better than it used to be? I just asked a friend for some links for this, and the jury's out. Like, because some people in some countries believe it's far better, and some people believe it's far worse. Um, and I think we focus a lot on the manifestation. So, like, we're looking at what's here, and we're seeing what's here, and we're saying, okay, well, this is it. And it's like, well, this is holdover. Like, right. So this is here and it's not, right? Like I see Jen.
Well, I guess I won't ask about taking whatever. I mean, that's now that's in our conscious. But kind of going back to what we were talking about before, we had touched yesterday on the notion of being creators of all, and that we're all, and I imagine most people here are creators of all, so to speak. And this morning I was reflecting on that, and it occurred to me that part of that is that if you assume that role, then there's an obligation, whether it's an obligation to yourself or an obligation to others. So similar to the question that was posed before the musical interlude, um, the obligation to the world. But so I guess I would recast a little bit about what's your feelings about what's your obligation to yourself as being a creator?
Oh, great question. Anytime, and I really was introduced to this from my mentor, Andee. Andee taught me so much about love in a lot of ways. But he introduced me to this concept of anytime I say I am upset because, the words, I am upset because I that's an opportunity for me to see where I have an unresolved issue. So, and I could give concrete examples if it's too abstract. But even when you see things at a macro level, if they are upsetting you, you have an unresolved issue because not everything at a macro level upsets us. Like not everyone's upset by all the words, right? So it's like, and the reason that's important is because when I have an unresolved issue, I will not act in love. So like Victor and I were talking about. So if I have an unresolved issue that I feel, for example, I don't get activated by politics, but I get activated by people who get activated by politics. So really it's the same issue. Like I'm still getting activated by other people, right? So then what happens is I won't act in love. I'll act in ways that are not loving. And I'll act in ways that are not loving to those people. So every time I act that way, I put that into the world. And then that ripples through the world. And maybe I just keep it to myself. But the universe doesn't care because the universe functions on frequency. So even if I walk through the world hating everyone and I don't say a word about it, I'm not doing any good for the world. So I have to really pay attention to the things that make me upset. There are things that still activate me. I can be jealous at times. I'm not jealous of people in careers. I'm not jealous of money. I'm not jealous of status. I'm not jealous of, but there are times where I do have fragments of jealousy. And not often, but when they come in, um, I can be I can be not loving. There are times when I have fragments of like it's harder for me to let go of somebody that's done something crappy to me. Like, and when I act that way, I can be mean. Like I can be downright mean. And when I'm downright mean, I will I I have to work through what it is because it's not that they did anything to me, it's that they touched a trigger point that I haven't worked through yet. And so it's twofold. It's poisoning me, but it's also poisoning the world because I'll get abusive because that's how I am. And then what'll happen is their ripples, it'll go out. It's not going to just stop. Like it's going to change many interactions that person will have that day. So I have to be very mindful of where I'm still upset. Um, I would like to leave the planet not upset. Um, it takes a lot. Like not a lot makes me very upset. Like the Zoom bombing, that doesn't make me upset. But it takes a lot. But because I've spent a lot of time and a lot of work, but there's still shit there. Like, and I look at it. So
Wow.
yeah, that's.
Here comes Tamsin.
I'm so glad to see you.
So I had a question about your writing and where you get your inspiration from. And this is a two-parter, which feel free to not answer second bit, but what is your process for editing in terms of writing and then editing? So where do you get your inspiration from and and how do you edit your content?
I love the question. Thank you. It comes like I don't know if that makes any sense. It comes from there.
Yeah.
And it comes in the morning. So it can't, I've tried to force it. Like there's a piece I love. Oh, I wish that Frank was here. I'm a friend of mine, Frank, Charles Bukowski's So You Want to Be a Writer. I mentioned it yesterday, and it's all like, if it doesn't come bursting out of you, don't do it. And it's like, or if it doesn't, and there's all, it's beautiful, it's poetic, and it's like, do something else. And so I will. And sometimes there's nothing there for like a week. I mean, and because I'm on Substack and I've got a streak going, I'll force something out once a week. But most of it, if it doesn't come, I don't do it. And I'll know. So I'll wake up and I'll sit there, and if it's there, then I'll know that it's there. Inspiration comes from other people. I'm more interested in other people's stories than my own. So like I really love the stories of everybody that's in this room, and I want to know more about every person because there's richness in all of that. So yeah, it comes from the stories and the energy and the love, and then whatever it is, it gets put together and pieced together, I think, outside of body, and then it comes in, and then I just tap keys. My process for editing is reading it out loud, and I usually read every piece out loud. I think Mark O'Brien and I have this in common, like reading it, listening to it. I read it out loud probably 5 to 6 times, and 3 to 4 before I hit publish. Then I read it a couple times after, and there are other edits because after it's published, somehow there's always like 3 typos that you forgot about before you published it. So yeah, it's like reading it out loud and listening, because I'm actually auditory. So I think I am. And so hearing it is helpful. So thank you for that.
You created the container for the muse to appear, which is what all of the kind of great writers say. Is, whether it's the War of Art or any of the Animal, they've all talk about like the importance of creating that container, and that once you do that, the muse will appear as and when. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Love the War of Art. Well, I love Stephen Pressfield, and I've read Turning Pro, and I know that parts of that are from the War of Art, but I haven't read the War of Art fully. So beautiful, but I love him. He's fantastic.
Great.
My
Well,
friend Mark O'Brien.
here he is.
Hi there.
Hi there.
I did get my seat in the middle, by the way. So thank you.
Oh, I saved it for you.
I knew
the guy that wanted to eat whoever's.
So I have two questions as well, and they're both really quick.
Okay.
First one is, given your preoccupation in the morning, what do you write?
What do I write?
What do you write? And my second question is, I'm going to hold my second question to you answer the first one. What do you write?
That's a great question.
I thought of it myself.
That's a great question. Because people have been asking that question, like when I go to various things and I say, oh, I'm a writer, and I just started identifying as a writer because, the identity thing. They say, what do you write? And I say, I don't know. It's like some stuff, and it does something, and then people feel something else. And that's usually how I've been answering it. So I've been answering it, but I don't like that answer. I don't love the answer, but that's the only answer that's present. So I write stuff, and people read it, and they often sense an unnameable. So the unnameable appears between words. And that doesn't happen for everyone, but I've been told that I do that. What I would like to say more concretely is that I write imagery of things that do not have a physical manifestation yet. Cole says depth. Yeah, maybe. Cole reads my writing. He's my probably one of my biggest supporters of my writing. And Jen.
My second question is, what do you want?
Is that broad?
Mm-hmm.
I want space.
To do what?
Be.
Okay.
I want a performance artist I love, Marina Abramovich. I believe this is her. It's been years, but I believe it was in the Artist is Present exhibit when it was at the MoMA 15 years ago. I believe the line was, I want more and more of less and less. And I would like, that's what I would like. I would like more and more of less and less.
To do what with?
That's a very masculine question.
Thank you.
Very doing. That's
You've just affirmed my identity for me.
I'm glad.
I was worried for a minute.
No, to do what with? There's no doing attached to it. It's just I would like less. So I would just I would like less. And I say masculine because that's the doing. That's the doing energy. Like we do. So it's nothing to do with male.
I get it.
Yeah, but it's not, there's no not to do. Just I think that I would just like less. Like I would like less. And that doesn't, and it's paradox. So like the world embracing paradox, I would love to also have more. So I would like less, but I would like more. I would like more space, but I would like but less. So it's more and less. I would like less and more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom.
Buddy Tom is here.
Hey.
Hey.
In his own way, O'Brien kind of wormed his way into my question. So, but I'll see if I can play around with it a little bit. And what would, if you could do a factory reset of you, and that would be with keeping some of what what is already you, but you could really, enhance or whatever, what would that look like?
Factory reset, but enhance.
If you could pick out, like you, or what would that, and I think that's probably what your whole life is about, but trying to get to that factory reset, but
it's difficult to imagine in the context because I believe I am a perfect me, and I genuinely believe that. And I don't know if this me could exist without anything that has already existed. And so it's difficult. But a factory reset in my mind, so I recently avoided a factory reset on the device. And I avoided it. It was because the mail app was oversyncing. And I believe it had to do with my iOS update. And it has since calmed down quite a bit. But it was doing something like an hour of background activity a night. And I was worried. And so I called Apple support, and Apple support was not helpful. And all they do is say a factory reset. And I'm like, well, I got like authenticators and all kinds of stuff. I don't want to do a factory reset. And I was very anti the factory reset. And so I thought about this, like the significance of what that might mean for me, that I was anti the factory reset. Like, why am I holding on to all these things? Why don't I just get rid of the factory reset? There are people plenty of times that buy a new phone and they don't restore from a backup. They just start over. And I thought about what I'm holding on to. Like, what am I so wed to? Is it the, like what is it that is keeping me from the factory reset? Like, is it the, that I've put in what is it? So thinking about the question again, and I appreciate it. In terms of enhancing, the only thing that I perhaps, and I wouldn't change it because of the way that things were, but I did a lot of like physical damage to my body, and I have a strong body. But like I never did drugs or anything like that, but there are a lot of like poisonous things that I put into my body. And I don't just mean like cigarettes, I mean like Pop-Tarts. Like I ate a lot of inflammatory things, and I had a diet soda addiction for 20 years or something like that, which is harder to get rid of than cigarettes, by the way. That is a serious, like lots of inflammatory things. And I have not, knock on wood, or there's no wood, my desk is glass, but like I haven't seen any. I'm in generally good health. I take no medications, and I have perfectly, but I care about my health very deeply now, and I don't know how that's going to affect me in 30 more years. So if there was anything I could change, it would be caring more about my health from an earlier age. And a lot of 6'2s have a big health thing around age 30, because many 6'2s just go off the rails with their health during their experimenter phase. So I'm grateful that that didn't happen. I was really heavy, but that was about it. I didn't have nothing yet, knock on wood. So thank you for the question.
Thank you. You nailed it.
Thanks. My dear friend.
Hello, my friend.
Wait, you moved. Now you're down here. I'm
No,
gonna move you.
Behind me.
I see you. Yes.
So you mentioned before that what you would like is more space.
Space.
Who holds space for you?
Oh boy.
And how do you hold space for yourself?
That's a great question. Thanks for that. Few people. Mario holds space for me. Mario's my love. He was my ex-boyfriend, and we are closer than friends. We're not lovers, we're not romantic. And we're kind of, in a way, but not in a traditional way, partners in this life. Like, so we walk together through this life, even though we don't live together. And now we don't live in the same state. We did for many years, but he moved last year. Mario holds space for me. I hold space for Mario. And he doesn't hold space about everything, most things. I mean, I think lately. And Martin too. Not as, in a different way than Mario. So those are my two. So both of them always. Few others. Like I have friends, but like few others on a regular and consistent basis, and that's my doing. That's not anybody else's doing. That's my doing. There are others, but it's not with the frequency or consistency. I have a lot of people, and if I need someone to hold space, they will. And if I ask, if I don't need, if I ask, if I desire, and I hold a lot of space for others. How do I hold space for myself? Noticing when I'm being a crazy person. So, and I'm crazy. Like I can be crazy. So like my brain is a little overwired, and it can be. So it's about really policing. Hey, sit down. Like just sit down. Like, but I have all this sit down. I'm like, sit down. Don't like put on insight timer and sit there for 5 minutes. Like just sit there for 5 minutes. And then when you do that, the next day, if you want to sit for 10 minutes, it's easier. It's like it's easier to do that. And then the next day and then making sure that happens. Making sure that running more days than not happens when you don't want to. When I don't want to. it's like, okay, well, I'm putting on my shoes and we're going. Like that's it. And it's like, and also like if people, like for example, in the past, not anymore, but in the past, like years, like early coaching, I'm going to say the thirstier, right? Like now I'm not thirsty, but I was thirsty. You know, you're new, you're like, I want clients, I'm excited. And people would, you know, you'd connect with people. And, or if you wanted to connect with someone and someone would only be able to meet at a certain time, and I would police that. Like I would have to, because early I would say, okay, whatever, like we meet whenever you're available. And after about a year, I was like, no, we meet when I'm available because that's run hour. And you want to meet at 9 a.m., that's going to disrupt run hour. And that's not okay. Like we're not doing that at that hour. So holding the space that way.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Andee, there's no other question. I'm sorry, hands up. We've got time for maybe a couple more. We got about 4 minutes. Let me just come back in again. Fill in the blank question.
Okay.
Life is too short to tolerate what?
The first thing that came to my mind was poultry. I don't know why. I hate chicken. Sorry.
Okay, there's an article there somewhere.
It's too short to tolerate poultry.
Let's go over to Phil.
Wow, poultry. Very interesting, Andy. I had a Caesar salad with chicken last night. So I don't know what that means to you, but it was very good to me. So here's what my last question to you is: what would, thinking about maybe your high school self or junior high or elementary, your favorite teacher, what would she or he say about you?
He would say I'm unique.
I'd agree with that. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I love that about you.
Thanks, Phil. Oh, I lost Joanna. Hi.
Hi. So my question, which might be the last one, would be, how did you find your power and how do you define your power?
Oh boy.
Wow.
Big question. 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Always had it, lost it, got it back because of, I think in the space. So like, and it's there's a short time. I can't get into like the events of what happened, but the pandemic accelerated it a lot because there was space. And in the space, it became more evident. So I knew that there was a power in voice and expression and delivery and like all of those types of things. And that's a very small fragment of what I consider to be my power. But in the space, those things that are uniquely me, or those things became more evident in when I removed other things. Like I could see it more clearly. And another thing, this with the remaining time, because it's a bigger question than I really have the time for. But I want to honor it. But it was acknowledging that I don't know shit. Like I have a lot to say, but I don't really know that much. And being open to not knowing has taught me a lot of things. And when I knew everything, I was not very powerful. So I was always just, but now, I have, yeah, now it's easier because I'm open. So thank you for the question.
Boy, what a great way to wrap up. Andee, yeah, thank you for always showing up as who you are. There's a guy named Charles DeLint who said long ago, you got to find yourself first. Everything else will follow. Clearly, you've done that. And that's what you shared today. And I'm speaking for everybody, we're just grateful for the opportunity to know you just a little bit better. So thank you on behalf of everybody. And thank everybody for joining us. We're back at it again on Tuesday, January 21st, where E. Peck Williamson's going to be our guest. So join us then, same time, same place. Have a good
Thank
rest.
you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Andee.